6, snow again causing problems for the Iditarod. The major change to the ceremonial start, 4th Avenue is looking a little bit naked this time of year.
And temperatures are still warming. I'll have a detailed look at this weekend's forecast for both Anchorage and Fairbanks and the storm hitting southeast.
This is going to sting if it doesn't work out right.
Concerns following a recent pause put on projects for updating critical emergency messaging equipment in Alaska.
And we are along for the ride as we profile the crews responsible for helping you if your plane has a problem.
This is the time to celebrate our rich and very diverse cultures.
Oh, the Festival of Native Arts is just days away, and we get a sneak peek.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
And the crowds can still come out. We still think it will be a big, very festive and celebratory.
The Iditarod restart, or the ceremonial start, drastically shortened.
Yeah, this is what Anchorage's 4th Avenue looks like today. Absolutely no snow on the road or the sidewalks, a scene that we're not used to witnessing this time of year.
Now, we are just days away from dogs and their mushers running down these streets as Alaskans join the tradition, wishing the athletes good luck before they head to Nome. Well, but that lack of snow has caused the Iditarod Trail Committee to drop Saturday's route from the usual 11 miles to closer to 1.5 miles.
And this comes as Anchorage is nearing record low snow. Melissa Fry, what is going on?
Yeah, we know that weather is always a factor with the Iditarod, right? Whether it is a lack of snow or it is big windstorms, blizzard conditions, extreme cold, it all has an impact. But this year is one of just a handful in which we have not seen snow on the ground. I'll have a look at that actually detailed weekend forecast here in just a minute. But first, Sports Director Jordan Rodenberger has details on that ceremonial start and Iditarod CEO Rob Urbach's reaction. Jordan.
Yeah, Saturday marks the start of the 53rd running of the Iditarod, which has already seen a few changes this year. Another one announced today. The race adapting like a musher on the trail. As a ceremonial start in downtown Anchorage, we'll see a significantly shortened course, about 1.5 miles from 4th Ave and D Street, heading south on Cordova Street and down the hill, turning on 16th and ending at the Sullivan Arena, rather than going through that popular Chester Creek Trail. Race CEO Rob Urbach says it won't take away from the celebration that is the Iditarod ceremonial start.
You know, it's an easy decision to make due to the lack of snow, but it's unfortunate that the Iditaroders will have a little bit of a shorter run. But, you know, we'll still have a full-on, normalized Anchorage celebration that honor the mushers. The dogs will be raring to go. It's just going to be a little bit shorter on Saturday.
33 teams will take off from downtown Anchorage Saturday at 10 a.m. before they travel to Fairbanks for the restart on Monday rather than Willow as tradition. But it will be the longest Iditarod in history in terms of miles at 1,168 overall. Rob Urbach says the trail has plenty of snow.
Right. Thank you, Jordan. And so, Melissa, yeah, mushers, what's going to be the impact?
It's a little disappointing, but, you know, can't really help that.
Oh.
Right.
Mother Nature.
We're not changing it at this point. Yeah. And again, a handful of years have had less than an inch of snow on the ground in Anchorage. So we have seen that before. But again, this one, not only not seeing any snow, but it's also pretty toasty. Look at these temperatures that we're going to see this weekend in Saturday. Temperatures starting in the upper 20s. If you're down there early for the national anthem and all of that, upper 20s. And then temperatures continue to climb through the afternoon in the upper 30s. Right now, I'm expecting dry conditions, a little sunshine and a little bit of cloud cover. But then in Fairbanks on Monday, temperatures are warming fast there this week. 12 degrees to start, so we'll be cool at the beginning of the day. But that's normal high temperatures, not low temperatures. It will climb above freezing, likely Monday afternoon as those mushers are heading out of Fairbanks and heading down the trail, which, again, with that northern route, the good news is that that entire stretch of the Iditarod also happens to be some of the coolest and snowiest portions of the state that we have seen so far this winter. So it won't be long before they do see very winter-like conditions down the trail. As for current conditions, it is in just the single digits in Fairbanks right now, 33 in Anchorage. Stormy, though, in southeast. We are seeing heavy rain and high wind on the way, and we have a number of weather alerts in effect for that area. You can see winter storm warnings and advisories to the north with high wind warnings in effect to the south. And I'll have a more detailed look at that forecast coming up here in just a little bit. But as for tomorrow, we are looking at mostly sunny conditions in Anchorage, 33-14 for the high temperature in Fairbanks.
All right, Melissa, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, with the lack of snow in Anchorage, snow dumps are not filling up as quickly as they have been the last few years.
Now, work has now started on a new snow disposal site for West Anchorage that is next to a popular dog park. Work on the Connors Bog site started just a few weeks ago. Workers have cleared 14-acre parcel and are now filling in wetlands and creating a gravel pad. The new site is built on property owned by the city. It will replace the current snow disposal site on Northwood Drive that the city was leasing from the state.
There's just lots of advantages. The current site, because we don't own it, we cannot make any major improvements to it. We don't have a long-term lease. Water quality is always an issue.
Now, the project manager says the new site will have better drainage and is further away from the area where people walk their dogs. Voters will be asked to approve bonds in the upcoming election to finish the last phase of construction, and if they do, the disposal site will open next winter. Well, funding freeze. 9 Alaska public broadcasting stations who were counting on federal reimbursement money to update their early warning systems, like weather warnings and amber alerts, have been told to stop for now until they hear from FEMA.
The general manager for Iditarod, KBRW, shared a Corporation for Public Broadcasting notice with Alaska's News Source Investigates. Now, it directs public broadcasting stations to pause upgrades. Now, since this is a reimbursement grant, System KBRW says they don't know if they'll get back the $65,000 they've already spent on a new transmitter.
We get tsunami evacuations and tsunami alerts and warnings and watches and also extreme weather. And our station is actually located in the inundation zone, which means that we're at sea level. In the case of a tsunami emergency, we would need to have a backup transmission location.
It's very expensive equipment. It's intricate stuff, and we have to have it to be able to do our job and alert the people about emergencies. So it's important. The transmitter is also important. We're the only broadcast station on the North Slope, 95,000 square miles we cover.
Now, both station managers say they have been in contact with Senators Sullivan and Murkowski's offices, who have told them that they are aware of the seriousness of the situation and are currently working with FEMA on a solution. Alaska's News Source Investigates have reached out to the Trump administration to see if the funding freeze is part of the Department of Government Efficiency's review, and we will keep you updated when we get an answer.
Ketchikan lifted a tax exemption from cruise ships that now allows the taxing of goods sold on board in port. The Ketchikan Gateway Borough Mayor says the repeal was for equity between shops and the cruise ships. The borough thinks it will bring in an extra $300,000 a year.
Capital coverage. The State Senate Finance Committee has again proposed a new formula to pay for the PFD. The Alaska Beacon reporting instead of splitting state services and the PFD when the permanent fund transfer happens, senators want 75% to pay state bills, while the other 25% would pay for the PFD. The Legislative Finance Office says that would likely mean about $1,420 per check. The full story is live on our website and our mobile app.
Still ahead, a first-hand look at fire and police responses at the Anchorage International Airport.
We ride along with first responders working to keep everyone safe.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Well, in the past year, there have been 55 alerts for police or fire at the Anchorage International Airport.
Georgina Fernandez shows us what those responses could look like.
They're the crew.
Anchorage Ground, Engine 57, requesting the East Group.
You probably never want to have a run-in with.
We're alerted of an incoming emergency prior to it landing. We'll be out here waiting for it.
Ted Stevens, Anchorage International Airport's police and fire team. A group made up of people wearing 3 hats. Police, EMS, and firefighters who are the first to respond.
Within seconds, if we're standing by, waiting for it.
In case ANC is experiencing an emergency at the airport or nearby at Lake Hood.
But occasionally we do get called out for local standbys, and it could be something very minor on the aircraft. Aircraft overall are very, very safe, and we're just out there in case something does worse happen.
Crew members like Daniel Harmeling undergo monthly training in case the call for help ever comes.
When the tones go off, the doors open, FAA mandates that we have to be to the scene of the call within 3 minutes.
So to get a better understanding on what reactions look like, we climbed aboard one of their emergency response vehicles for a mock simulation.
So this kind of would be like an example of a standby location where we're just standing here waiting. The aircraft could be landing on the runway in front of us.
As they showed us how they stand ready, waiting for when an aircraft arrives, with EMS ability on board, and also 4,500 gallons of water.
So that's kind of like the nice thing, like we did just show up, we could just start spraying.
On top of that, crew members also have the ability to use this device to spray foam inside an airplane.
It can be difficult to actually get to the center of the plane because it could just be filled with cargo. I could take that piercing nozzle and actually pierce it through the aircraft.
Just one of the handful of techniques they're trained on in case that alert for help or even to just stand by ever comes. Georgiana Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.